Hello and welcome back in, everybody. John Abraham, Cap Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey, Lowery. And this one's for Jason real quick. That Westminster game will be on the NFHS network, so definitely check that out over the weekend. But honestly, we're going to all be listening to that Madison Academy game with Steve Moulton on the call because it'll be absolutely amazing. But we got to talk with one Mr. Joe Hunk here in a second. We don't got to, but we get to. It's always fun talking with him about all things football because this guy, he is one of the encyclopedias that we go to, and he just knows exactly what he is talking about. But Joe Hunk from 104.5 The Zone is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Joe, how you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. I appreciate the compliment of being called an encyclopedia. That's kind of fun.
Of course, yeah. You and Drew. I mean, you really do have a lot of that information just up in your head. You just pull things out of random places and throw it at us, and we appreciate everything you got. But let's kind of talk briefly about this Tennessee Titans matchup. They go up against the Panthers. They do get a win, but tell us what you thought about the performance because they beat a team that only had one win on the season. So.
No, they beat a team that when the game was about to be over with, we were joking on Titans radio behind the scenes. We're like, God, I bet you Fox is so ready for this game to be over with so they can go to something good. Like it was 17-10, but it was just that. And look, yesterday we had a lot of people that were asking questions about the Titans. First and foremost, the Titans got to win, which is extremely important. Okay, because as bad as we want to joke about the Titans and how bad they are, they're actually still in a playoff hunt. And if you look at some of the teams that are in front of them right now when it comes to rankings, a lot of those guys, if not have lost their quarterback for the rest of the season, they are choosing to go with the backup, like the Raiders, like the Bengals, and you still have the Colts are in front of them, which they're going to be playing this weekend, which, Gardner Minshew's not a bad quarterback, but I still don't think that he's going to be somebody that's going to get the Colts to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of teams in front of you that are really struggling right now. And honestly, you feel like, and a lot of Titans fans should feel like you have a good quarterback in your backup. Now, I say that because a lot of times also when you're looking at the remainder of the Titans schedule, because yes, they're 4-7, they have 6 games remaining. 2 of those are still against the Texans. They still have 1 against the Jags. They still have 1 against the Colts. So, and obviously every one of those teams are in front of them when it comes to the AFC South as well as the playoffs. So you have the ability here in the next few weeks to actually do a lot of damage in this if you can play well. And I know that a lot of people want to complain about the second half, but look, like without just Googling it, because I don't want to give you guys too much time to do this, how many possessions did the Titans have in the third quarter on Sunday?
I'm gonna say 2, maybe.
That is 1 more than what they actually had.
Okay,
they had
only 1. Okay.
They had 1 possession. Jeez. And the second possession that they got the ball with like 20 seconds left, and then they went into the fourth quarter. But that was the part of this is that the Panthers were coming out. They were killing the clock. Like they were seriously just trying to kill the clock the entire time. And then you go into the fourth quarter, and the Titans had a total of 4 possessions technically, but one of them was taking the knees at the end of the game. The Titans only really held the football for 4 or 5 possessions in the entire second half.
Wow.
And then you look at what they did in the first half. In the first half, on 1 drive to score a touchdown, they ran 15 plays for 91 yards. They barely ran 21 plays for the entire second half. So it's a lot of things that went in that game as to why that game was so god-awfully boring, especially in the second half. But it's just, again, they got a dub. And that's the important thing is they got to win and everybody's healthy. That's the important stuff.
Yeah, that's all that really matters. And kind of looking at the Titans, we were joking, me and Bandy, before the show about this NFC South, and the Titans have only beaten the Falcons out of their stretch of playing these teams. Kind of just talk about the NFC South and the problems that they're having. And on top of that, I do want to focus on Bryce Young a little bit because he's this quarterback who's on a team that really hasn't given him the weapons, hasn't given him an offensive line, and now gets rid of his first head coach to now look forward to yet another head coach in his first season as a quarterback. Kind of just talk about that.
Well, so let's start with the Bryce Young part of it.
Let's do that.
He's got a lot of things to work on,
Of course.
because I will tell you, there were times in that game and I specifically look at the strip sack that Arden Key had to set up the touchdown for the Titans, I seriously thought that man was dead. I mean, seriously, the Arden Key hit to him, he looked like he died on that field. Like, it is he weighs like $150, and I know that people laugh at the fact that when somebody says that, but the other issue that he was having in this game, and I haven't gotten to watch every single one of their 11 games that they've played. I've watched about 5 or 6, and the one issue that he has is he has a tendency to want to throw off his front foot, which is very weird at times. And when he does that, he doesn't throw the ball well. There was one play that he threw over during the game against the Titans where he threw the ball off of his front foot, and it was like a wailing duck that only went like 10 yards. And I'm just going, that was odd on the way it is. So he has a lot of things to work with when it comes to him. He's going to have to learn how to evade tackles. He's going to have to learn how to, do some of the things that he did, especially on a third down run that he had on Sunday where he's getting out of bounds and getting down. Because, I mean, again, I'm not trying to make fun of his weight, because he is a good quarterback, or can be, especially when it comes to the mental side of it, which is something that I know that a lot of people have talked about today, especially with Jalen Milroe, is the mental side with Bryce Young. He has the intelligence to be an NFL quarterback. He has just got to be able to protect himself.
Yeah. And
because, again, you have your Arden Keys, your Jeff Simmons, these guys that are going to be able to pop you and put 250, 300-something pounds on you in a hit. Your career is not going to last long, because you're going to be injured a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And he was showing a little bit of spurts of his athleticism running out of the pocket, and that's kind of been the story of the year. But, I mean, you look over.
He needs to do it more.
Yeah, he does need to do it more, just kind of make those quick decisions, and it's a lot tougher in the NFL. But a guy that's really taken advantage of everything as a rookie, C.J. Stroud. I mean, just comparing these two quarterbacks together, I mean, I don't think Bryce Young's having a horrible year, but I think it's definitely a rookie season. I mean, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. C.J. Stroud is the quarterback that I'm kind of looking at to compare these two. I mean, C.J. Stroud has 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's well over 3,000 yards. I mean, just talk about what this guy has on this Texans team that just the Panthers don't have just yet.
Yeah, I really wish the Titans would have got the Texans early in the season. I really do, because the difference between C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young is Bryce Young went to a football team that didn't have crap. They just didn't. They sold the farm just so that they could get, they traded off his number 1 receiver to Chicago. They do not have an offensive line whatsoever. You got Chuba Hubbard and you got Miles Sanders in the backfield, but right now Hubbard's playing better than what Sanders is, and Sanders is the one that's getting paid more money. But then you look at C.J. Stroud, and C.J. Stroud came into a team that was not bad. As much as their record looked like they were bad last year, this team last year, the only reason DeMeco Ryans became the head coach of the Houston Texans was because the Houston Texans owners were pissed off at Lovie Smith for not sucking more. And the whole reason for this is because towards the end of the season, and it's something that we're dealing with the Titans right now. People are saying, well, have they given up on the season? Have they given up on the season? And with a lot of Titans, we're like, no, they're playing hard. Like, if you have players that have given up on the season, SMB is not going across the middle diving to try to make an interception. You're not having players that are trying to block field goals at points and times in the games. Like, they're doing the extra stuff that's trying to get you wins. The same thing was happening with the Texans last year. The Texans were playing for Lovie Smith, and he started. That's the reason why they beat the Titans. We talked about it the entire time going into the second Titans game last year. It's like, look, this Texans team is not bad. They're not a bad football team. Do not look at their record and think that they are a bad team. And so that's what eventually happened for them to actually win at the end of the season, where the Texans were the 2 pick instead of the 1, and that's why that Lovie Smith got fired. C.J. Stroud came into a fantastic situation because he has a really good offensive line that actually has gotten better at this point in time. You have really solid wide receivers, not to mention you added Tank Dell in this. You added Singletary in the backfield running back. Oh, and you have Dameon Pierce as a running back in this. It's also a very good running back. So offensively, he has got a ton of pieces with him that's been very beneficial, as well as Michi. And the fact that he has been able to come in and be able to stay healthy after the reason why he was off the field to begin with for his rookie year. So you've had all these pieces that have started to come in. the Texans are a very good football team, and they added Derek Barnett yesterday. I'm not 100% sure what kind of role he's going to play in this when it comes to the defensive side of this, because he's played in about 8 games, but he's only got about 3 tackles. And so I don't know if he's going to play a role. But the Houston Texans are a good football team. There's really 2 good football teams in the AFC South, the Jags and the Texans. And I don't put the Colts in that because, again, the Colts have beat teams like the Patriots, who are horrific. And, those are the types of wins that they had. They've also beat Carolina. They've had to play the Patriots, and they beat them. So, some of their wins, even though they have their backup quarterback in, they're not too impressive. And, yes, and they beat the Titans, which right now are still one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah, true. But, hey, still playoff eligible. So that's a good thing to look at. Joe Hunk with us from 104.5 The Zone. Joe, I wanted to get into this Alabama-Georgia SEC championship. We don't have a lot of time. Just kind of tell us, real quick, what you're looking at in this game and how one or the other team is going to be able to bring it home.
Oh, well, the one thing that I want to see is how Georgia's going to defend Jalen Milroe. Like I just do. Yeah. Because the whole idea with him is that I applaud the Alabama team, and I mentioned Bryce Young at the very beginning of this and his ability to read defenses, to make audibles and things like that. That's something that Alabama doesn't have right now. Their starting quarterback, he doesn't have that ability. That's something that he's going to need to work on in the offseason, especially if he's wanting to be playing on Sundays. Because on Sundays you can't look over to the sidelines and have him change everything for you 5 seconds before the play starts. So the way with him is I think that Alabama simplified a ton with him, and I do believe you saw it in the second half against Tennessee, and I really think that was probably the biggest turning point for him is he's a one-read quarterback. He makes his read and then he runs, and that's not a bad thing because he had 100-plus rushing yards against Auburn over the weekend. But I think that if you really want to stop him, what you do, you put a spy over the middle. You make sure that you have your defensive ends being able to close the edges on it to force him up the middle if he is going to run. And at some point in time, he's either going to have to run directly into your linebacker that's spying him, or he's going to have to throw it to his number 2 receiver, and he hasn't done that enough this season to prove me that he can do it.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
But, Joe, before we really get you out of here.
Yeah, Bandy wanted to say something.
From what I take it, you're a fan of wrestling, right?
I literally hate myself for not being able to go last night. Like, I seriously hate myself for it.
What was going on?
I do. And you know what? Look, Saturday, look, I know we don't have much time, but look, Saturday was the worst day of my life, okay? You want to talk about bad timing? I just had horrible timing, not to mention the way the Auburn game is. Now, guys, remember, next week I need you to ask me about me and the Iron Bowl. I just need you to ask me because there's a story with that we didn't get to talk about.
All right.
But here's the thing is did you guys watch Survivor Series? One of the 2 of you did.
No.
I didn't see the Survivor Series, but I heard about what happened. Like who returned during it.
Did you actually see the video of him returning?
I did see the video of him returning.
Okay, here's the thing: is whenever you're watching a show, especially when you're watching WWE, right when the show goes off the air, the bottom right-hand corner they put like their copyright stuff up, like Survivor Series copyright of WWE. That means the show is over. Okay, that means it's over. So I'm sitting and I'm watching it, and Randy Orton's already came back, and I'm just like, it doesn't make sense for CM Punk to come back. Like, I know it's in Chicago. I know it's, that's the thing is they want to bring him back in Chicago. Like I get it. It's like, it just doesn't make sense. And so I turned my TV off and I went to bed pissed off because I was like, I watched this whole thing thinking CM Punk was going to come back. Randy Orton coming back was cool. And then I get on Twitter once I get in bed and I see all the news that CM Punk's back. I'm like, he didn't come back. Like, what the heck did I miss? And WWE tweets out the video and I go, I seriously turned this video off. Not even 4 seconds too early, like 1 second early. Okay, I was like
right before his music hit.
I fired it 1 second too soon, and then what's also sad is I didn't even know that Raw was coming to Nashville last night. I had no idea, and so then during Saturday night's event, Survivor Series, I kept seeing Monday night's Raw in Nashville is going to be explosive. And I'm like, wait, in Nashville? It's in Nashville? I don't know anything about it. We haven't been giving away tickets. I don't know anything about this. And I literally watched that whole show last night thinking, I can't believe I literally am missing this whole thing in the arena that I was all of 100 yards away from for the majority of the day yesterday.
Jeez.
We'll have to talk about it with you next time. But I mainly know CM Punk. This might hurt you to hear from MMA. I don't really know him as a wrestler, and he was just one of the worst MMA fighters I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, I mean, his MMA stuff was very short-lived. But here's what I want you to tell you to do, okay? If you have Peacock, and what you need to do, first off, a lot of his early stuff was great. The stuff that he did when he was trying to act like Jesus Christ and he was going up against Jeff Hardy, that's amazing. But the other thing of it, obviously the pipe bomb is one of the most legendary promos in the history of professional wrestling. But the entire promo lead up and backstory to his Money in the Bank match with John Cena in 2012, just go and watch the entire lead up to that, because that is probably – it's some of the best professional wrestling storytelling in professional wrestling that I've probably seen in the last 20 years. It was absolutely amazing.
Good stuff, Joe. I'm sorry I didn't bring up the Iron Bowl for you this week, but we'll definitely talk.
No, trust me, I've got a lot of stories for you about that Iron Bowl.
All right,
I do.
all right.
Also, shout out to my cousin's girlfriend. She was the real MVP at Thanksgiving because she brought jambalaya.
Hey.
Because she knows I hate turkey, and I just really appreciate that. So, G, I love you. Thank you very much for doing that.
All right, we'll talk with you next week, Joe.
All right, love you guys. Bye. Wow.
You can find him at Joe Hunk on everything. Yeah, he's a huge Auburn fan, by the way, so that was me on missing those questions. Either way, we're going to hop into a break. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit of NFL talk, as well as talk about exactly what Jalen Milroe needs to do for the Crimson Tide to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. That's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-251-2305. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-251-2305 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-251-2305 to see if you qualify. That's 800-251-2305.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon, but it is going to be on the chilly end of the spectrum today. Highs only climbing into the mid and upper 40s. We're dropping into the upper 20s, lower 30s as we head into the overnight early Wednesday morning. Plenty of sunshine on Wednesday afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid 50s. More cloud cover for your Thursday. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Rain's going to begin to move into the Tennessee Valley as we head into Thursday night, early into Friday morning. From there, it looks like it could stick with us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Touchdown, Alabama! Hi, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Join us every week for Alabama football right here.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Okay, the Oakland Bees, it's like for baller, not just like a bee, like a bee, like stinging bees.
Yeah, like the letter B.
Okay. Because it's Oakland. I mean, they gotta either have the Oakland A's or it's the B team. That's what it is. Okay, I get it now. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, that's what the Oakland, city of Oakland is doing. They're making a baseball team, I guess. It's not gonna be in the MLB. I don't think it's gonna be in anything.
It's independent Bandiman, Bailey Lowery, alongside Captain Cool John Abraham here. Welcome back into the Morning Blitz, everybody. But yeah, a consortium of dozens of Oakland area fans, led by a pair of high school friends, banded together to start the Oakland Ballers, also known as the Bees, who plan to play in the Independent Pioneer League starting this summer, wearing the same green and gold as the Athletics.
Okay, well, that'll be a movie one day.
Team's co-founders Paul Friedman and Brian Carmel told ESPN they've hired the former Seattle Mariners manager Don Wakamatsu, who went to high school in nearby Hayward, California. Okay. As executive VP of baseball operations. Former St. Louis outfielder Micah Franklin, a San Francisco native who has coached in the minor leagues, will manage the team.
Huh. Okay. Well, it's going to be semi-legit, I guess. Are they going to play up against the Savannah Bananas just on the other side?
I don't think it's going to be that league.
Yeah.
I don't think they're the Pioneer League. I mean, I don't even know what that team is, honestly. Yeah. Is it like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball?
Pretty much. But I feel like, since they're, out here in the South, there should be a team out in the West that does a similar type of baseball, they can't go everywhere.
They don't let it have fun out there. What do you mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, all it is fun, Bandy. It's California, man. It's the place everybody wants. I say that like 10, 14 years ago, I don't know.
It's a place everybody wanted to go 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But I have a scenario, okay, where Alabama's going to be able to beat Georgia. All right. Now, this is a 6-point underdog. This is Alabama's, one of their first underdog games of the season. But they're playing up against a team where, they've played, decent competition here in the later half of the season. But you look at all of the teams that they've played up against and the teams that have really given them trouble, and a lot of those teams had running quarterbacks. Now, there's not a lot of them, okay? There's not a lot of good running quarterbacks that they've even had to go up against. They go up against the Peyton Thorne early in the season, and they're still challenged on offense. Obviously, it was a 27-20 game right there. Peyton Thorne was able to get 92 yards on them, okay? Now we're talking about arguably the best running quarterback that this Georgia team has ever played this season, I would say, in Jalen Milroe. And you look back to last week, whenever they went up against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, they played up against Haynes King. He was the quarterback for that team. And this kid had 2 rushing touchdowns, and they were really nice. They were pretty cool-looking touchdowns. And now I'm thinking, that game was 31-23. If you can disrupt the Georgia Bulldogs on offense, then you're going to be able to get to them on defense as well. I know it's going to be a stretch. It's a stretch to say because, of course, Georgia still had this game in the bag pretty early on.
Yeah,
but
and they're still going to be stout. It is going to be. I mean, the secondary has been the strength of this Georgia defense throughout the year. Like, they've been able to shut down the pass for a lot of these potential comebacks. I mean, when they did adapt and really start stopping the run game and giving them like 5 to 6 yard carries. Mm-hmm. They tried going to the pass, but that got shut down even quicker.
Yeah. And I got to say, looking at this matchup, if Alabama really takes advantage of Jalen Milroe's legs, and on top of that, also throw in a little bit of those pass plays where he's threatening the run at least, I think that Alabama's got a pretty good shot of winning this game despite being the 6-point underdog. And again, that's a game to watch because if you're an Alabama fan and you're also a fan of the wacky underdog picks, you will get double points. That means you'll get 12 points towards the wacky underdog picks. And Jason, if you're looking at it, it's like, this isn't fair. You can do it too. Just pick one of the teams that's going up against another opponent in these championship games, and we'll double that. It just needs to be under 10 points, but that's something to look forward to on Thursday and Friday. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game, and the first real competition we get to see, is going to come from that Pac-12 championship game on Friday night. Now, on top of that, we'll also have some coverage of some playoff football here in the high school realm of things, so definitely be checking that out with Madison Academy. But I mean, we're going to have some championship football this week, and it's coming on Friday, and we're going to get the good matchup, which is Oregon versus Washington. And I look at this one, and I think that there's going to be a good little setup to where Alabama's going to get at least a little bit closer to the playoffs. And you love to hear it, but it's still not going to be easy. I mean, this is the thing, okay? We could possibly see both SEC teams out of the SEC, or out of the playoffs, sorry. If Michigan beats Iowa in the Big Ten title, if Washington beats Oregon in the Big 12 title, if Florida State beats Louisville in the ACC title, and if Texas beats Oklahoma State for the Big 12. Now, also, the Alabama still needs to beat Georgia. That'll kind of throw them out. It'll throw everything out of the loop. There's still a few teams that are right behind them that are ahead of Alabama, and that would be Florida State, who's still rocking 13-0. Texas, who beat us back in week 2.
Yep.
And, you think about it, you're like, oh, the playoff committee's going to think, well, hey, this Texas team hasn't been too good as of late. They still have that win, and that still will be taken into account. So it's tough to look at. They're 12-1. Alabama is going to be 12-1 if they do beat Georgia.
Yeah, they hold that head-to-head, like, okay, this team beat this team in direct competition. They hold those wins in very high regard. I mean, that's why we've been gate-kept by Texas all year.
Yeah.
They continue to win. We've continued to win. But that one win they have over us has kept us consistently behind them in the rankings.
Yeah, and to make it worse,
so we're all Oklahoma State fans and Louisville fans this weekend.
That would be great to see. It'd be great to see that happen. It'd be great to see Florida State lose. I think that one's actually a reasonable one because Louisville's been pretty hot. They've still got their starting quarterback who's been doing wonderful. But for Florida State, I mean, you look at them where they're at right now with their team. I mean, they've already struggled a little bit in this later half, despite having an easy schedule. But now without their starting quarterback Jordan Travis, because of that gruesome injury he had 2 weeks ago, I mean, there's definitely a chance for madness to happen this week, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see because it really goes down to thinking about, well, what if this was 2024? I mean, what would we see? It would be complete madness, Bandy, and I would be all here for it. I mean, just imagine. You get all of these teams. You get Florida State, you get Texas, you get Alabama, you get Georgia, you get Florida State, you get Louisville possibly in that mix despite them losing to a Kentucky team. There's a lot of things that could happen if this was a different year, if this was just 1 year later. We could see Ohio State, we could see Missouri, we could see Penn State. I mean, there's so many different teams depending on how, the CFP wants to work moving forward. I know right now it's the 5 conference championships and then the 7 other picks. But it's going to definitely be a lot of fun to see going forward into 2024. And on top of that, I do want to also talk about, some of the leaders at the end of the regular season in the SEC because, I mean, obviously Jaden Daniels is going to be at the top of the passing yards. He's got 3,812. Right behind him is Carson Beck with 3,495. Talk about a turnaround of opinions on this Georgia team, Bandy. They're coming off of their, Stetson Bennett years. 2 years in a row, they're going to win national championships. And then they come back with a random quarterback that not a lot of people have heard about. We're all kind of concerned. Same with Ohio State with Kyle McCord. I mean, it's a lot of interesting factors being placed on this season. And both of those quarterbacks played very well. And now Carson Beck's looking to get himself into a national title this season. Right behind him, though, is Brady Cook, who had 3,189 yards passing. All 3 of these quarterbacks looked very amazing, but the one behind them is the surprising one. Spencer Rattler is 4 on this list. He's got 3,186 yards.
Spencer Rattler.
If he had one of these teams like LSU, if he was on Georgia, just imagine the type of player that he could have been. He would have been able to I think he would have been able to win the Heisman Trophy if we're being honest. This kid's been spectacular. And I know, we talk about how he first came into college football. It wasn't looking that good. It wasn't that good. But now, we think about it a little bit more. Wrong team, right player. How is he going to look moving forward? Because I cannot wait to see this kid in the NFL. I know it's going to happen. It's going to be a weird one to see. It's going to be a weird thing to say. But I know Spencer Rattler is going to be a spectacular quarterback moving forward. On top of that, Cody Schrader wins on the rushing yards. Malik Neighbors for the receiving yards. On the sacks, Mississippi State's Nathaniel Watson. And then Alabama's got one. Alabama's got one at the number one position, and that is Terrion Arnold with 5 interceptions. He leads the interceptions in all of the SEC. So that's great to see, Bandy, but it will mean nothing if Alabama doesn't win against Georgia this weekend. We got to hop into a break. When we come back, we're going to close out the show. There's something about the Pop-Tart Bowl that I got to talk about. That's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Do you have discomfort in your legs? Varicose veins can affect not only how your legs look, but how they feel. Symptoms of varicose veins include pain, swelling, aching, heaviness, and fatigue. Dr. Tracy Lowery of Best Vein Care of Huntsville can diagnose and treat your varicose veins with the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Call 256-715-7151 to schedule your free screening. Go to bestveincarehuntsville.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Score big deals at Baumhauer's this football season and order from our Inflation Bites menu. Try our Buffalo Wing Special with fries and a complimentary beverage for only $9.99. And what's football without a cold beer? Our pitchers of Yingling and Yingling Flight are only $7.99, served all day, 7 days a week. And huddle up, football fans. Sign up today for our free NFL Pick'em contest at Baumhauers.com for weekly prizes. Baumhauers, legendary fun and legendary food.
Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options, from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon, but it is going to be on the chilly end of the spectrum today. Highs only climbing into the mid and upper 40s. We're dropping into the upper 20s, lower 30s as we head into the overnight early Wednesday morning. Plenty of sunshine on Wednesday afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid 50s. More cloud cover for your Thursday. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Rain's going to begin to move into the Tennessee Valley as we head into Thursday night, early into Friday morning. From there, it looks like it could stick with us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back in, everybody. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery, here on a cold yet beautiful Tuesday here in No Man's Land. Bandy, this show has been
right, the cold part.
Yeah, this show has been kind of off the rails ever since you guys turned the Joe Hunk conversation into a wrestling conversation. No, I'm joking. And I missed the ball on that.
I should have asked about CM Punk. Everybody was going nuts about it on Twitter. I didn't understand what the big deal was in the wrestling world because I only knew him from MMA. And MMA, he was garbage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was really my fault for not bringing up the Iron Bowl to him. I definitely missed the ball on that one, but we'll make sure we get in plenty of that Alabama talk with him next week, as well as with Drew DeArmond tomorrow, because obviously a lot of coaches are going to be moving around in all of college football, and on top of that, SEC championships coming up. We got to figure out, if Drew kind of feels the same way about, this Tide team maybe being underlooked, I would say, with the power that Jalen Milroe might have towards dictating the ending of this game. But it'll be a lot of fun to see. It'll be a lot of fun to hear from him. On top of that, you know what else is fun? Mascots can be a lot of fun. And, before I say this...
I was hoping you bring this story up.
I got to say, Pop-Tarts are great. I love them, all right? And I don't know how the structure of a Pop-Tart would be in, a larger form, but I guess it's going to be good enough to hold all throughout a football game, because that's exactly what the Pop-Tarts Bowl is going to be doing. They're featuring the first edible mascot in sports history. Bandy, let's hope it does not rain, because that would be unfortunate. Talk about, the worst way to expose yourself as a mascot. It's not the head flying off. No, it's your costume literally just melting around you, and then you just get stuck in a cocoon of a soggy Pop-Tart mix.
Okay, but I think we're asking the wrong question here.
Okay.
What flavor is it going to be?
Probably strawberry. That is actually a good question. Probably strawberry, though. That's like a staple. If not that one, then it's got to be that blueberry, the purple and turquoise one.
Man, I wanted to go bold and go s'mores or something.
Oh, s'mores would be great. That would be one that I would be jumping to if I won the game. I'd be going right to the mascot to try and get a little bite of him. But
that tastes so good. I have to run him for 4 quarters straight.
I get why they're doing it, but at the same time, it's kind of a weird thing because are the players gonna eat it at the end? Is that gonna be a tradition? Because I know back in the old days, the commercials for Pop-Tarts were these people trying to eat the Pop-Tarts, okay? Trying to, lure them into weird situations where they can straight up just devour their friends, aka the Pop-Tarts. Either way, Bandy, it's a weird thing to look at. It's going to be a fun thing to look at, though, whenever that bowl game does come. This show has been all over the place. Tomorrow, we're going to reel it back in. Drew DeArmond, RJ White. That's what we're going to be getting into, some NFL, some college football talk like always, but this show has been presented by Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online to fill out your free quote today. You can find them at FlemingHSV.com, and remember that Fleming always shows up. Bandy, I knew I'd get that one in. Either way, a lot more fun to come here in 22 hours. Me and Bandiman will be sitting in these seats, taking your calls, talking to the experts, and having a lot of fun doing it here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowery of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient